Without maximal MMU, you will not get stronger. This video is an explanation of how exactly you get stronger. First off, if you're not training with a specific purpose, the result that you get is a happy accident of whatever you're doing. So if you're training for strength, if you're training for fat loss, if you're training for endurance, if you're training for explosiveness, all of those are slightly different variables, and there are a lot of people participating in exercise just trying to make the exercise hard, even though the exercise isn't actually getting them towards their goals. Now, they may accidentally stumble toward their goals. If someone starts running marathons, they may accidentally lose weight as a result, but the training on its own is not necessarily designed specifically for that purpose. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what it actually means to get stronger and what you actually have to do in your body in order to get stronger. The first 6 weeks of exercise, literally anything that you do will work. The reason for that is that your body in any given time, if you're not currently exercising, is only recruiting, I'll make up a number, 30% of the muscle motor units that you actually have inside your muscle. So your muscle is made up of hundreds and thousands of little muscle motor units, and all those work together to create a strong muscle contraction. When you first start exercising or moving around, your body will start recruiting more and more of those muscle motor units. So the strength that you experience in the first 6 weeks of doing any kind of strength training is huge. You have this huge strength curve that jumps straight up. Your body is always trying to preserve muscle and preserve energy. So if you stop using your muscles, you get weaker really quickly, not mainly because you're losing muscle or because you're losing strength because your muscles are getting smaller, but because your nervous system is disconnecting from your muscles to make them less active so that you can preserve energy. Remember that this is all an energy game. And so let's take you beyond the 6 week mark. Let's say that you're someone who's been exercising. Let's assume that you've been exercising well. So now you're at a point where you're using theoretically 100% of your muscle motor units, and you've gotten your bench press up from 50 pounds to 200 pounds, and now all of a sudden you've hit a plateau. This is the true moment where we separate the good training practices from bad training practices, and now we have to get into the science so that you really understand what exactly is going on and how you get stronger. Getting you stronger is completely dependent on what we call maximal MMU. MMU means muscle motor recruitment. So when you go in to do your weight training session, you have to recruit all of your muscle motor units within a muscle to tell that muscle that you are trying to push something beyond your physical capacity so that that muscle will actually get stronger. Without maximal MMU, I'll write max here. Without maximal MMU, you will not get stronger. There's two different ways you can get tired. Some people talk about your arms getting tired. We'll say arms if you're doing an arm workout, just to make it simple. So your limbs, the limb that you're using. Talk about your arms getting tired. The other area is your central nervous system. So this is peripheral nervous system, but we'll say arms. Central nervous system is like your brain as an example. So if you are chronically doing high intensity interval training all the time, there's a good chance that you're working out hard enough that you're fatiguing your central nervous system. Now, what we've found is that your central nervous system is actually the main driver of your ability to work out hard enough to get maximal MMU. So if you're chronically doing high intensity interval training all the time and you're feeling really tired and you're feeling like you're working really, really hard, you might not actually be physiologically working as hard as you can. Your central nervous system might just be too tired for you to actually work at 100%. Let that sink in for a second. Your central nervous system, because of lack of sleep, too much stress, and too much super high intensity interval training, can actually get so tired that you become incapable of producing a maximal muscle motor unit recruitment exercise, even though you feel like you're pushing as hard as you can. Let's make that a little simpler. Your arms being tired or your legs being tired, first off, let's just get that completely off the table, because that is completely secondary to your central nervous system, your brain, your stressor system, being able to drive maximal muscle motor unit recruitment. If your central nervous system is fatigued, let's say that on a fresh nervous system that you can bench 200 pounds. And if I said, are you pushing this, is this maximal? Is this a 10 out of 10 effort? You'd say, absolutely yes. I'm at a 10 all the way. I absolutely cannot work harder. If that's you fresh, you're sleeping well, you're getting good nutrition, you're not doing tons of chronic high intensity interval training, then let's say we push you 2-3 weeks down the road. We have you do a half hour to an hour of sprinting 7 days a week. You would come into your next exercise session. We'd put you on a bench and I'd say, push as hard as you possibly can. Remember that your central nervous system is fatigued, right? And you would get it and we'd load the weight up and you'd only be able to push 150 pounds. And I'd say, how hard are you pushing? And you'd say, 10 out of 10. I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can. I'm so frustrated because I can't get up to 200 where I was 2 or 3 weeks ago. What this is saying is that because your central nervous system is fatigued, you can physically only push 150 pounds, even though you feel like you're working as hard as you possibly can, which is not a maximal muscle motor unit recruitment. Which means that long term, if you never take the time to recover, you will actually get weaker because you won't actually be pushing to your current potential, which is 200 pounds. If you don't push to your potential, you will over time start to lower your strength down to 150, which in turn will probably lower your metabolism overall. So now the question becomes, how exactly do we get you to maximal muscle motor unit recruitment? Well, the first is rest. If you're not rested and recovered, you cannot produce a maximal contraction. That's first and foremost. And with this comes things like stress management, proper nutrition, proper hydration, all of those things. But let's say that all those things are accounted for. Let's say that you are well recovered and all we're looking at now is the pure science of exercise. How exactly do we get you there as someone who's going to get in and work out at the gym? You're ready to go. You've gotten a great night of sleep. How do we get you muscle motor recruitment? There's several variables that we use. The first would be tempo. So if we change the speed of the repetition and instead of you just banging out reps, we actually slow things down and force you to connect your feet with the ground as you go through a squat, you'll actually activate all your leg muscles and they'll burn like crazy. We can change your repetitions. So we can have you do 10 repetitions and then rest for 30 seconds, 10 repetitions, rest for 30 seconds, 10 repetitions, and hit it to maximally fatigue your muscle in a single session to the point where you feel like your arms are going to fall off. The next one could be sets. Now in sets, we want to give you as many sets as we can in one session to accommodate for the time, but also the amount of sets that will work for you to be able to not have a critical drop off, which is a drop off of about 15 to 20% during your actual strength training session. The other one would be to decrease or increase your rest periods to be able to recruit more muscle fibers. And then the last one is to meet your strength tension curve. And this is actually the one that I wanted to talk about the most. So your strength tension curve describes a situation where you are stronger through certain ranges of motion than you are at others. Strength tension curve. I might have said that wrong, whatever. So let's say that you're going to do a pull-up as an example. So in this pull-up, you are strongest from here to here, and then all of a sudden you start to get weaker. So that means that the strength of your pull-up is limited by what you can do from here to here, even though you've actually got more strength available. So one of the ways that we can change that up is to have somebody hold your feet and give you no assistance at the top, and then as you start to lower yourself down, they'll give you some assistance right here, and then as you get towards the top, they'll change that process around, right? If you're going to go through we'll say a bench press. So you are strongest at lockout and weakest with your arms bent. So we might say that we'll put some chains on the end. So chains hit the ground to take tension off. So as you start to lower the weight down, the chains will hit the ground. They will take weight off the bar naturally as you get from here to here, and then you'll be able to push through. And by meeting your strength tension curve, you actually be able to recruit all the way through the contraction. So remember, whenever you're working out, the goal is maximal muscle motor unit recruitment if your goal is to get stronger.